What's up guys? In today's tutorial we're going to be drawing the face. I'm going to try two different approaches. The first method from Michale Hampton's book, Design and Invention, and the second from Choi's book, Anime and Manga Characters. So we're going to try those two different approaches today. So first of all, the first thing we should establish is the landmarks of the skull before we get into any kind of sketching or drawing. So I'm going to reduce the opacity on this image. In terms of key landmarks, definitely the eye sockets. So here and here. Those are two really important landmarks. Obviously the nasal cavity. And then this part here that comes down from the zygomatic arch into the mandible at the corners of the mouth. This is a really important thing to learn because wherever the face is pointing, you can just paste them on. To any kind of face. It's definitely a good technique to use or good landmarking tool to use. And I picked it up from Ahmed Aldori's course. Yeah, so those are the important landmarks to know. You could also note this edge of the bone that comes up from the zygomatic arch, which indicates where the temporal muscles would be, because the temporal muscles that sit in this section, and then you'd have the ear here, somewhere there. But those are the important landmarks to know. So let's get into sketching. So first of all, we're going to look at Michale Hampton's techniques when it comes to drawing faces. He likes to imagine a sphere. You make a tilt, so you want to indicate the direction that the head is facing. So you're just going to draw a line down the middle, looking to the right side. Yeah, so depending on which way the skull is facing or the head is facing, sometimes the nasal cavity or ridge will block part of the eye, so you'll see less of the eye. So I'm going to put in that there at the edge. And then something that you can follow is that arch down to the mandible or the jaw. So you can follow that arch that we were talking about, this kind of shape here. And you can come across and create that jaw kind of shape. Just going to connect that there. And another thing to point out is just at the edge of that eye socket, the bone protrudes out a bit more, so you can see comes in, out, comes in, and then back out. So we can replicate that here, so we can go comes in, comes back out, and then we're going to just draw that protrusion goes in, comes back out, kind of like that. You can see we're already starting to get the shape of the skull. Two more things that I would note. Here on the mouth, it's actually more like a triangle. So if I sketch that out, the mouth kind of is more like this. There's a protrusion that's happening. So that's why if we draw it from the side, we're gonna have that triangular kind of protrusion at the edge. Kind of like that. So we've got that protrusion right here. Okay. Finally, the last thing I would do is I would just round it off with like the zygomatic arch, which would start that area where the temporal muscle is. So it comes at the very edge of the eye socket. So I always use the eye socket as an indicator for where to start. So I'm just going to do that. And you can see there's our skull. If you want to tighten it up a bit, you can add like a few more straighter edges and do something like that. But yeah, that's our skull structure. If you do struggle with it, there are a few things that I can recommend or send. There's a good anatomy tutorial by Modern Day James, who goes into like full detail of all the different bones, all the different things. And then these books are helpful, these two books, just for practicing. But yeah, there's our skull. No matter what angle we do it, it's still kind of the same sort of technique. So let's say we were doing skull looking upwards. And you can see I constantly use that kind of landmarking shape. To help me sketch. By no means are my sketches 100% accurate. But you can kind of get the gist. That it's looking upwards. It's looking to the side. It doesn't matter which way you're doing it, those landmarks will always be useful. Okay. So I'm just gonna show you TB Choi's method, which is a bit more simple. Not as much focused on the skull. There is still kind of that structure, but it's a bit more cartoonish. So with TB Choi's method in her book, she'll draw circle, she'll do that cross that we said, or well, rather than saying circle, it's better to say sphere. She'll draw a sphere. She'll draw that cross, indicate the center line, and then it's kind of like attaching two different shapes. So you've got that sphere, and then you've got this half cylinder shape, and you attach the two parts together. So the way she'll do that is she'll come down from the head, she'll bring this line in, bring this line across, and also notice how when I come back up to the head, it doesn't go right to the very edge of the head. It's not like this, because actually there's space. There's space for where the neck is, because the neck actually attaches to the edge of that head. So that's a key thing to notice. And I always seem to draw that line too high. So draw another line underneath. That's where your eyes are. She'll draw like a triangular nose, kind of like this. So you can draw that triangular nose. And she'll draw like a line for where the mouth is. And there are subtle hints of anatomy in the way that she does it. She'll have where that brow ridge is, so here, and she'll indicate it like this. And then she'll have like the side of the face, and maybe that would just be like a circle. Very messy sketch lines, but you kind of get the picture. We'll have like the neck. That will attach to the rest of the body. But that's the way TB Choi does it. And another thing that she shows in her book is she shows kind of imagining the face as like a paper that can fold. This is something that Cynic shows in one of his videos, but it's an interesting way of visualizing the face. So if you visualize it like a paper that can fold, then you can rotate that paper in different ways. So like even if that paper was looking upwards, still the same sort of process. You've got that center line, got that nose, got that mouth. Yeah, same sort of process. So that's TB Choi's approach. Okay, so now taking both of those approaches, we're gonna try and sketch our own face with the different things that we've learned. I will say it's easier if you pick something with less makeup, because you can kind of see more areas of the skull. You can see the eye sockets, you can see different parts. Anyway, we're going to use this as reference, so let's get sketching. So same sort of thing, I'm going to use a kind of combination of both. You can use that circular sphere. as like a drawing reference. And then this is just something I like to do. Probably something I saw from Ahmed. You can actually just scribble in where the eyes are. So scribble in roughly where your eye sockets are. Scribble in where that nose socket is. Guess you could follow it down to where that mouth is. And then you can actually just turn down the opacity of that and use that as reference for where to sketch in your eyes. And I will say something about likeness because it's always something I struggle with. But if you want to get likeness, measure the proportions between where things are. So measure down from the eye socket, the corner of the eye down to the mouth, measure from the nose, where does that align up with? That will give you likeness, but in today's video we're not really looking at likeness. We're more just looking at how to sketch the face. If you want another video about likeness, yeah, I can make one. So right now I'm just sketching in where those eyes are. And it's really important to remember like the features. So you can see here, edge of the eye socket here. I like to do something like that, where you do like a small kind of circular shape to indicate where the edge of the other eye socket is. For noses, I will quite simply just do very simple lines like this. Doesn't always have to be complex, sometimes you can join it up, but quite simply I'll just do lines like that to indicate the nose. Just drawing the fold. And for this mouth, can quickly kind of sketch it in. We can measure up to the corner. It's the edge, two edges. Connect that together. For a mouth, there's something simple that you can do that I learned from Keenan Lafferty. You can actually just draw the line, sketch a part underneath to indicate the shadow. Because this mouth is open, we do have to do a bit more work. So I'm just going to make sure that that mouth registers as open. Even for the top lid, you could actually just do shadow. You don't actually have to sketch it out. So now I'm just looking at the proportions. Just gonna sketch in the edge of this, and we're gonna sketch that coming inwards. And then also like ears, they normally line up with where the nose is and roughly where the eyebrows are. It depends on the orientation. So like 3/4 front facing, depends on orientation. But yeah, I'm just gonna sketch in those ears. And eyebrow. Yeah. And when I'm measuring this, I'm just comparing it to where it lines up. If I draw a straight line, where does the neck line up with when I draw a straight line? This isn't like 100% accurate either. I recommend when it comes to hair, although you can have another tutorial on hair, just try and draw the outlining shape. Don't try and draw strands or details. Just try and draw the outlining shape. So I'm just going to draw roughly where that hairline is. Yeah, we've got our first face. Not like a ton of values or anything, but yeah, we've got our first face, and that's how you go about sketching the face. There are definitely things that I could do to improve the likeness of this. But we've got our first face right there. I guess final thing I'll say is when it comes to ears, one thing you can do is actually just draw like this kind of P squiggle, and just draw a C around it. So same thing here, I'll draw a P squiggle, I'll draw that kind of C shape. Here I'm only seeing the P squiggle, so draw the P squiggle there. Yeah, so that's how to draw a face. Hopefully that helps. When it comes to likeness, we can do another video on likeness and making it look like the person you're drawing. But those are some of the basics. Yeah, if you need any other help drawing the face, definitely check out the things that I mentioned. So the two books, the book by Michale Hampton, Design and Invention, and then the book by Choi. And then if you need an all-encompassing guide to anatomy, I definitely recommend Modern Day James's anatomy series or anatomy bundle. Yeah, hopefully that helps. See you in the next one.